I think it gets a little bit worse when you think about the fact that there's this huge talent gap in cybersecurity right now. In 2014, there were a million jobs that were unfilled in cybersecurity. There's just not enough people coming out to do this work. There's not enough people being trained to do it. There's not enough of you that know how to do it. 2019, 1.5 million. In 2025, they estimate 3 million person gap in this space. So what I can tell you is that the way that you're going to fight this is not going to be with more people. Automation is going to have to come into the picture. It's the only way. We don't have enough people. We're not going to have enough people. And by the way, it's kind of silly to fight it with people. I mean, my first job out of the MBA program was Price Waterhouse, and one of the very first projects they put me on was to go to North Carolina National Bank and do a security audit of them. So here I am, 22 years old, walking in with this big old long checklist, got it all done. They did not pass, but it was a human being talking to other human beings and seeing if they adhere to policies and procedures that they're supposed to, and it's just an interview, and they're saying yes and no. And that just doesn't work, right? We're going to have to, and as I go back into the field now and I look deeply at what's going on in security, a lot of it is still being done the same way with human beings and checklists. It hasn't changed that much. Automation is starting to come to play, and I think that's what's really interesting. Why is this the perfect storm? Because we do have a perfect storm going here, okay? There's reasons that you should look to move into this marketplace, to expand your offerings, to start offering some of these cybersecurity services, right? Number one, you have a social responsibility to do so. There is a board called the Social Responsibility Board, and if you go check out their website, it will tell you that anyone who is touching data has an obligation, a social responsibility, in fact, to protect that information. You also have a massive amount of liability. If you're doing managed services, if you're taking care of their infrastructure, and if you are not hardening their environment in a way that they won't get hacked and they won't get breached, you have massive liability. Trust me, I learned this the hard way. You know, we are you. We have 200 clients in the Tampa Bay area. Guess what? One of them got hacked. And they came to us and they said, hey, Arnie, what's up? You put the firewall in, but they got through it. I'm like, yeah, well, we don't guarantee people aren't going to get through the firewall. They said, yeah, but they took 100 tax returns from us. This is a CPA firm, client of ours. They took 100 tax returns from us. So they have all of our clients' social security numbers. They can actually file that tax return and get the refund early. You know, what are you going to do about this? And you know what? I looked at them and I said, well, you know, you're not really paying me to do that. And I caught myself right there. I said, this is insane. I can't even say this out loud. They are paying me to do this. It's really my responsibility. I should have told them they needed to be safer. I should have told them that I needed to add some services because they got hacked and we're their managed service provider. So guess what? It's on us. Massive liability. Now, maybe it hasn't happened to you yet, but the day of reckoning is coming. It will happen. Legal reasons. People are suing over cybercrime. People are suing over negligence. You don't want to be sued for negligence, okay? And then, of course, regulatory. United States Congress just passed a bill where they pointed to the cybersecurity framework and said everybody, which is a standard that the National Institute of Standards and Technologies put out, right? It said everybody, this cybersecurity framework, everyone should be hardening their environment around this. It was a recommendation. It's not a law. It's not a regulation. But that's how it always happens. It's first a recommendation, and then it becomes, a regulation or a law. So all of these reasons say that we need to be paying attention to this. But here's the good part of it, right? Massive competitive advantage for you. There are few people that actually do this right. In fact, I would honestly tell you that there are probably only about maybe 50 of our partners who are even attempting to do this the right way, okay, in a field that's growing very fast. This is a way you can create differentiation for yourself as well. This is how you can, I talked about specialization. Guess what the easiest specialization for you is going to be? Get good at cyber defense, okay? So there's a huge opportunity there for you. So, in fact, it's a $25 billion opportunity just in 2019 alone. $25 billion, okay? That's as much as the world's economy, if you will, for managed servers. It's about the same number. So you think about that. Managed servers is like, how much money do you make from managing servers, right? Add that up. That's how much additional money you can make right there with cyber security. So all of that is to say that you have to own security. You absolutely have to own this, okay? There's a framework that we're going to teach you, and I'm not going to leave you in a bad place on this. We're going to have a webinar series on security, ConnectWise.com/path to success. We're going to start this December 6th. I will be hosting it along with the CISO of Siena, John Ford. This is where we're going to really get serious and teach you cybersecurity. We're going to teach you around the cybersecurity framework, which is what has been published out there. It's what everyone follows. It goes through these areas: protecting, detecting, responding, recovering, and identifying. We're going to teach you how to do that. It looks something like this. And if you look at every one of these columns, these are new services that you can provide. Every one of those line items is a new service that you can provide to your clients, okay? This is the commonly referred to as the NIST. You will hear NIST all the time, National Institute of Standards and Technology. This is the NIST Cybersecurity Framework version 1.1. It is being globally adopted. It is something that was created here in the United States, but because it was so forward-thinking and it includes all global standards and recommendations, so it's a global approach to cybersecurity. A lot of other countries have adopted this, including Italy and Uruguay, and several other countries have already adopted this as their standards. There's a standard in the UK that's very similar to this. So let's take a look at what the opportunity is for you, okay? A typical managed service client, you're going to charge maybe $125 a seat for doing these services: infrastructure, cloud, SaaS application management, monitoring, help desk services, backup and disaster recovery, maybe quarterly business reviews, right? And then you're doing some basic security. We all do this, right? Email encryption, web content filtering, antivirus, firewall management, right? Well, that's what we were doing for our local CPA firm, and it wasn't enough, right? So, so, you know, we really needed to be doing more. If you think about like where you need to move, you have the liability for everything pretty much to the right of this equation here. In other words, you have the liability for keeping them secure, but you're not making the money. Let's take a look at the next column. This is what we call MSP 2.0. You can charge $175 a seat for this, because now you're adding a certain set of services, cybersecurity services that we're going to teach you how to provide in this webinar series. We're going to talk about this. These are additional services that you can have. Now, this is just example here. I'm not saying everybody should follow this, okay? But what I'm saying is this is the concept, right? And if you go even further and you add additional security, cybersecurity features, right, you can get up to $250 a seat now, all right? This is a world that you can conquer. This world is a world you can conquer. I'm encouraging you to jump into this. I have talked to several of our very largest partners, and I've asked them to self-assess themselves. How do you feel about your cybersecurity practice? How do you feel about that? Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. You know what they've told me? 2, 3. If I asked you, if you self-assess yourself, where would you put yourself on security? Where would you rate yourself? I know almost all of you are going to tell me, Arnie, I'm either not doing it, or I'm a 2 or a 3 or a 4. Look, we're here to help. That's what we're here for. We want to take you from a 2 or a 3. We want to get you up to an 8 or a 9. We want to move you to the right side of these columns to $175 to $250 a seat. All right? We are making massive investments to do this.